Scott, I was going to ask you, was there anything in particular that attracted you to the Baha'i faith?
Really, the thing that attracted me about the Baha'i faith was I learned about it, and I thought that through prophecy, I was a Christian, and I believed that Jesus was going to return, and through prophecies, reading prophecies, and actually believing in the Baha'i interpretations of these prophecies, I believe that Baha'u'llah was the return of Jesus. So that's what really impressed me about Baha'i faith.
Well, there's nothing insignificant about that. That's a very, must have been a very major decision then.
Yeah, it was a major one because I can remember getting down on my knees one night or several nights, maybe months on end, and asking God to direct me to what, I read some books called The Late Great Planet Earth, and that talked about some things that they talked about the things that are coming about, history and making Israel becoming a nation, things like that. And that all pointed to Christ's return. And I remember getting down on my knees saying, God, please don't let me miss it that time. Let me recognize him the second time he comes. And several months later, someone talking to me about the Baha'i faith, I made fun of him for a while, and
here you are.
Yeah, here I am. So.
Okay, thank you, Scott.
Sure,
that was wonderful. Julie J, is this some of your artwork too?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's some of mine too.
Well, what did you guys do here? Was there something you were supposed to draw, or just anything?
We're supposed to draw something for the mask. We're supposed to draw something for the mask because we're making a picture of the jungle.
The jungle. Okay, well, very good. What was the idea behind it? Yep.
We made a mask over there.
Mm-hmm. Well, does this have anything to do with the Baha'i faith?
Well, I'll be right back.
Okay, he'll go.
I'm a monkey.
You look like a monkey to me. Come here, BJ. Why don't you... Are you a Baha'i, BJ?
Yes.
Okay.
This is my mask. This is my mask.
Oh, it's a lion, huh? Real good, Earl. Anything in particular that attracts you to the Baha'i faith, or that attracted you to it?
The thing that attracted me most, I guess, is the unity of science and religion.
Now that's interesting. I know that's one of the major Baha'i principles. Is your background in the sciences? Or?
No, it isn't, but when I was a lot younger, I couldn't understand how Jesus Christ could be the one single messenger for the entire universe. Mm-hmm. And there had to be an answer, because he seemed to be someone special from reading like the Beatitudes and the Sermon on the Mount. Mm-hmm. So I started searching around among other religions, and they all had people that they thought were special. Mm-hmm. And it seemed kind of universal. Mm-hmm. And then someone came along and gave me a Baha'i pamphlet that told about this, that they were all the same. And that was easy for me to believe.
So going back to your original answer, that it was the agreement between reason and religion,
yeah.
And it seemed more reasonable to you.
It fits into a universal perspective, to have messengers coming periodically for everyone, not just for a few people at a particular time.
Okay, very good. Well, great, thank you very much. And is there anything in particular that attracted you to the Baha'i faith?
Well, I think in particular it was the historical outlook of the faith, and how it explained that there was a plan in the universe, and that made a lot of sense out of what's going on now. Talked about historical cycles, rise and fall of civilizations, rise and fall of religions. I think that probably interested me the most. Yeah.
Well, very good. So that wasn't too painful of an answer? It didn't take 30 seconds either, I don't think. Marian, how about you? Any one particular thing?
Well, for me it was a little different, because I'm a second-generation Baha'i. And being raised in the faith, it's very different, because rather than finding the faith, it's something you've always grown up with. But still, you go through that decision, is this for you, is it not? And to me, it was kind of like stopping breathing. If you stop breathing, you die. If you don't become a Baha'i, it's not living. So, to me, it was all very natural. That's just how things went.
Well, what would life have been if you hadn't made that choice?
There wouldn't be. I don't understand how people are able to get by without the Baha'i faith. I have a very difficult time understanding it.
Because of the, like you were saying, what's going on in the world is so disturbing that without a historic perspective,
Well, the faith gives you some idea of why things occur the way they do. There's a reason why horrible things happen and good things happen. And like Leanne says, the historical perspective, there's an understanding why we have to go through all the things that we've had here as mankind and as individuals.
Yeah, also just the values that Baha'i faith teaches. I mean, now I had those same values taught to me in Christian upbringing, but I didn't have as much reason to follow them as a Christian as I feel I do as a Baha'i.
Very interesting.
Yeah.
Very good.
How did you become a man? Oh, God, I'm crying. How did you become a man? I'd always been interested in world religions. I taught comparative religions in a Jewish liberal reform temple in St. Louis, and I had been born into a Christian family and was brought up in the Methodist Church, and I subsequently converted to Judaism when I was raising my family and teaching at the temple. And it seemed as though there had to be something more, and the rabbi there had written a book in which his name was Rabbi Isserman, and he had written a book in which he said that, talking about the different prophets, and he had talked about Jesus, and he talked about all the prophets of God, and he mentions the Jewish Jesus and the Christian Christ, and he was describing in different ways that both religions viewed him, especially the rabbi himself. And then he said, talking about Amos and Hosea, he said, but Hosea was not the last word. And as I read it, I remember in the 50s, before I ever heard of the Baha'i faith, I wrote in the margin, who was? And later, when I found the faith, in '63, I was reminded of that particular incident and making that notation in the book. But the way I found directly the faith was after all this investigation and a lot of reading. A friend of mine had gone in 1963 to the World Congress in London. She had learned of the faith at Urbana, the University of Illinois. And we had been good friends and families, had been for years. And so when she came back, I heard all about it from her, from the World Congress. I read Baha'u'llah in the New Era. She proceeded to bring me and take back books from her library, and I read and read and read, consumed, and within 6 months' time, I realized the validity of the faith of Baha'u'llah. It made a great deal of sense to me from a world unity standpoint. I could see the need of it in the societal structure, and it appealed to my sense of justice and also the sense of unity of races and families and all of mankind, because I could never believe that just one group of people were going to make it to the next kingdom, you know, go to heaven, and other ones are all going to be left somewhere in an oblivious place. And I strove very desperately to interest my family in the faith, but they didn't seem, I think I probably was pushing a little too hard rather than drawing them out. So I waited 2 years before I actually enrolled. But then it was in '65 that I did. And I think it was due to a lot of, liberal upbringing from my father's standpoint, and always asking questions. He always used to say, always ask why, and is there something else that you have to say, and can you tell me more about that? And so this is how it happened. I explored others, Unitarianism and Hindu and Buddhist, and of course I have been Jewish. I learned more in Jewish temple as a Jew than Christianity than I knew before. I also learned more about everything when I became a Baha'i.